Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining the November 2019 monthly licensing webinar with myself. I'm Ian Jard from Ultima. I'm one of the Microsoft licensing consultants there. And what we've got today is a look at some of a little bit of a look into some of the Microsoft commercial agreements, CSP agreements specifically. And I'll cover off some of the other Microsoft updates as well. As always, this webinar is intended to be a high-level introduction. So what we're doing is considering some of those conversations which yourself as a business might be having, so to really build your understanding. Of course, everyone's scenario is unique, so there will be certain scenarios that may or may not be relevant for yourself. So one thing I would say is please contact myself afterwards, or your Ultima account manager or licensing specialist. We'll be happy to go into more details of really how this may or may not affect you as a organization. So there's also some options to kind of ask questions. I'll try and cover those off at the end, but if anything does come up, then please feel free to let me know what those questions are, or what those points are. But as I said, I'm more than happy to continue these conversations directly with myself or with your own licensing specialist. The webinar should last probably about 20 minutes this morning. So what we will have a look at to begin with on the agenda is what exactly is the Cloud Solution Provider program, and how does this compare to the other commercial offerings from Microsoft, specifically looking at things like enterprise agreements. We'll then have a little bit of a look towards, as part of this, kind of wrapped into all of this, is why are Microsoft doing this? What really is the future? What is their new commercial strategy around this, and how will it affect you, your organization, the decisions that you have to make? The next element is I will look at some of the other Microsoft announcements and really what Ultima are doing in this space, what we're doing to support our customers, or what Microsoft partners are doing to support customers. And I'll show you a little bit about what Ultima is specifically as well. And then finally, like I said, there will be opportunity. I'll cover off some updates at the end, and there will be an opportunity to ask some questions as we go as well. The session is being recorded, so you will get a copy of these slides, and you will obviously have access to this recording as well. I say that because I think in a few slides' time there is some good information, but it could be a little bit of an eye chart later on. So one of the first things I think, one of the most logical places to start really is kind of understanding where Microsoft have come from historically. So this is a slide that Microsoft actually created, and again, it's a little bit, but if you look on the left-hand side there, you can see all of the current programs and ways to buy Microsoft licensing that are available in the marketplace. You've got the enterprise agreements. You'll still see some organizations with Select Plus agreements, this kind of perpetual transactional agreement, an MPSA, which is kind of the evergreen agreement by on-premise licenses cloud. We've obviously got, and have for a while, the key agreements such as open value subscription, but then there is obviously CSP available and Web Direct. So as you can see, I mean, I've just mentioned 6 there, but there's, playing on the credit card, the enterprise subscription agreement, the server and cloud enrollment. There's a huge proliferation of agreements, which makes it very confusing for you, the customer, to really assess what is the best value for you, what offers the best price point, what actually adds the most value, and all of those types of questions. Some of them, Microsoft sets the pricing, it's a direct agreement such as EA or Web Direct, and with others such as Open Value or CSP, obviously you're kind of having the partner as your supplier. So this has left to confusion, and also just from a kind of compliancy, trying to find out that baseline, it can lead to it's just confusing, isn't it? Because you have some licenses here and some licenses there. For 15 years we've been running MLSs and gathering all of this information and collating it all. What Microsoft are looking to do is move that towards a more modern program, effectively, without putting too fine a point in it. It will take time to effectively move forward with 3 offerings. There's going to be kind of the Microsoft assisted, field assisted, there's going to be the partner led, and then there's going to be the web direct. And we can kind of talk a little bit more around what that actually truly means. But this is what Microsoft have done to kind of make it simpler for us, the partners, for you, the customers, to effectively moving towards a single new commercial platform. We're actually on that new commercial platform. All the pricing will be pretty much standardized. Then you, the customer, simply decide whether you're going to go for a partner-led agreement, a kind of direct self-service agreement, or a Microsoft-led agreement. Now, this all sounds all very revolutionary, but really, effectively, what we're talking about is on the new commercial platform. Are you going to go Microsoft-led, which is effectively going to be the enterprise agreement? Is it going to be partner-led, which is effectively your kind of open value, your kind of CSP agreement, or is it going to be self-service, which is going to be web direct, paying directly with the credit card? There's other, of course, for Azure-only scenarios, there's always going to be I know a few of you guys perhaps even going through an Azure only renewal as well. So the whole Azure, I did just want to kind of call out the Azure piece as being slightly separate from this. We're kind of talking more around the services side, the Office 365, the mobility suite, Dynamics, Windows 10. Absolutely, Azure is a key part of this, and we will touch upon it. But for Azure only scenarios, just because we're in a period of transition, I'm caveating myself here, but there is, for Azure only scenarios, there is a slightly different approach in regards to something called a Microsoft customer agreement, and kind of separating Azure out a little bit from some of your other products. So really that kind of leads us into, apart from that Azure tangent, that does lead us into what is the cloud solution provider. It's also called the Cloud Solution Program, but what is CSP? What is CSP? So CSP, for those who aren't aware, is basically a monthly cloud licensing platform. So on a month-by-month basis, you can kind of increase and decrease the number of licenses that you require. Then generally only, like I mentioned, Dynamics Online, Office 365, the mobility suite, and some Azure elements. So it's generally cloud licensing. However, there are some on-premise services available. Now, the on-premise services available are things such like, your RDS cows, SQL licenses, the stuff that you can't, you haven't really necessarily got a cloud alternate, or actually some of those base licenses like for SQL and for data center really support that move to cloud. And a little bit of acknowledgement from Microsoft around that true hybrid scenario. The fact that it's something when any organization will probably need to have some of that, some on-premise licensing always. And then not all, at the moment with the CSP, not all the cloud options are available. So when you're on wonderful programs that are available, you might have step-ups, you might have add-ons. If you've previously been on premise and you're moving to a cloud, you might have like a from software assurance, a from SA discount. To be clear, at the moment, the CSP doesn't really provide that. It is really only for those full kind of or individual components, but there's none of the concessions or kind of individual SKUs available, which perhaps acknowledge some of the previous investment you've made with Microsoft. Also managing your monthly cloud, managing your licenses cloud, managing your licenses monthly is a lot more work. Now, obviously, Ultima offer value license support. Excuse me, our license advisory service absolutely helps manage you with that. And when in actual fact, we can kind of present them as kind of 1 year or 3 year. There are even 1 year and 3 year price locking. But really, with CSP, it was designed for smaller organizations initially. So it was, made for those underneath 250 users who actually do have it's growing pains or seasonal. You need to have that flexibility to move up and down every single month. But in actual fact, we're seeing this as something which is going to be really relevant and just kind of grow more in the future as Microsoft add more services to it. As I kind of said, look, it's not 100% there yet for every organization with CSP. You don't have all the cloud options, with the step-ups and the add-ons. You can't really have any contract concessions or amendments. You need multi-tenancy, multi-geo. If you've got perhaps a reduced functionality, which you may have through like an OVS or an enterprise agreement. At the moment, and probably for the future, we're not going to see in that joining CSP, but it's still something which is potentially going to be very, very interesting and just simply grow more and more. But it's really supported by partners. So ultimately the supplier as opposed to kind of Microsoft. And what that means is that if anything goes wrong with your subscription, you're calling up Ultima, you're calling up your CSP partner, and they're fixing the problem. Obviously, we've got our large technical support center, so we have to be able to offer that full 24/7 support. So you'll see you'll have like kind of tier 1 and tier 2 partners. Tier 1 partners, I think there's only 5 in the UK. Ultima are one of them, that have this kind of full technical knock, having to be able to provide that 24/7 support. And then there's plenty more who can partner up with other partners to effectively present to yourself as the partner providing all of the support. So what we are seeing is that specifically because Microsoft didn't have the bandwidth to get to these customers below 250 users, but now we're actually really seeing that in the enterprise side, that CSP does actually provide a really valuable option, because it does provide the price point is getting better. You've got that flexibility month on month, or even if you just wanted to commit for a year, you can have the flexibility year on year. So there is some stuff around CSP which is really looking to grow more and more as Microsoft invest more and more. If I was to define really what CSP is, it's around owning and controlling that billing and that platform and those licenses. So you can effectively go in yourself and increase and decrease the users as is required. You can have access to your own portal. You've got your own pricing on there. Obviously, I've got to be honest with you, 90% of organizations just contact Ultima, and then we do that. Use a single email box, and we effectively provision, manage, and support all of those licenses on a month-by-month basis. As I mentioned regarding the pricing, the price point is good. For some products, actually, CSP is now coming in as the cheapest path. It's actually cheaper than the enterprise agreement. I'm actually talking specifically around Dynamics here, which is a key strategic product for Microsoft. So on CSP, actually, Dynamics is the cheapest way to buy the licensing, and you've still got a 3-year price lock, still having all of the constant developments and introductions. So it's becoming really relevant for all products in the future. The point there around the billing is really being able to adjust that month on month, and then we, as part of our support platform, whether you're doing Azure, whether you're doing Office 365 or whatever it is, Dynamics, then we can effectively start to review that spend, who's active, what services, what workloads are you using, and how can we actually therefore bring this down. And because of CSP being a month-by-month thing, that's something we can almost kind of monitor on a monthly, quarterly basis as is required. So this kind of sounds fantastic, but we don't really want to lose sight, just to kind of mention again how kind of CSP compares. So if we think, well, if you've got the CSP agreement, which is going to be this kind of partner-led program offering that full customer lifecycle, direct provisioning, monthly billing or annual billing, supporting all your services, price getting lower, how does that compare against the kind of enterprise agreement, or how does that compare against kind of going directly to Microsoft or using the credit card? So that's the section I'll come on to now. But I also do want to kind of make it clear that if you've currently got something like an Microsoft enterprise agreement, a Microsoft open value agreement, these kind of 3-year long agreements, absolutely the chances, today the pricing you've got is actually still the right program to be in. The pricing is going to be better and more advantageous to you currently today. Absolutely, you're going to have the manageability and all the value add around those programs as well. So I just want to kind of make sure I'm framing this correctly as being this is something that's really going to come in to the conversation for larger enterprises really from July 2020 onwards. I think there's going to be some announcements in January 2020, and for some certain use cases, CSP today is fantastic. It's not 100% there, but the amount of investment Microsoft and Ultima, to be fair, are making, when we start comparing the CSP against enterprise agreements in the future, the gap is going to be a lot tighter, a lot closer. As we're kind of standing today, when we look at how it compares against, literally, unless I'll provide these slides, I realize you can't really read that in front of you. But if we think about comparing a CSP agreement to an EA agreement today, you've got the enterprise agreement where you need to be over 500 users. With a CSP agreement, you can start that with 1 user for 1 month, if that's what you need. 2 users, 2 months. Whereas with an EA, you need to have 500 users. With regards to the products available, everything is available. Look on the EA, all premise products, software assurance, various add-ons, step-ups, software assurance from SA. Absolutely, the enterprise agreement still has it all with CSP. Yes, you've got some on-premise subscriptions I touched on earlier, but not everything is within there at the moment. There is limited third-party marketplace offerings under CSP, but like I say, I think we will see that change over time. And look, we're constantly monitoring it too. But it's worth being upfront that it's not 100% there. And the billing side, obviously with EA, it's direct from Microsoft. You have to pay upfront, kind of annually, with an enterprise agreement, with an open value agreement. They kind of large volume license agreements today. Whereas with the CSP, it's upfront monthly or upfront annual billing. In actual fact, with Azure, that would be paid in arrears. Pricing protection, similarly, EA, fantastic, full 3-year price locking for all the various routes, whereas with CSP, on certain products, you might choose to price lock a certain product, so you've got confidence that you're going to need that for the next 12 months. There's no kind of penalties for reducing the license. On CSP, you still have all the use rights. With the point around the commercial piece, with an enterprise agreement, you've got like kind of 3 price levels: price level A, B, C, D, depending on how much product you buy, depending on what products you invest in. Microsoft might give you a discount. There's pricing levels. To be clear, on CSP, it's just that single pricing level. So whether it's 1 license or whether it's 100 licenses, actually that price point is the same, because it was initially designed for small organizations. That price leveling hasn't really come into it. One thing that we're probably doing in this space is probably to keep the pricing of the license the same, but then depending on the level of support you need as an organization, difference between kind of 50, 500 and 5,000, there'd probably be a different support charge depending on volumes. But again, ultimately, CSP offers that single pricing level. So this is really based on some of the upcoming Microsoft announcements, which you may or may have not seen. Starting first of all with software assurance, and there is some logic here. So Microsoft back in right at the end of September / start of October have announced that there are going to be some changes to software assurances. So if you've got on-premise licenses, you get software assurance, you get software assurance benefits. So you get license benefits like, mobility or DR, or, being able to have multiple users. But you also get some more tangible monetary benefits like the training vouchers, like the planning services days, problem resolution support. Now, this is a key reason certain organizations are still buying on-premise licenses with software assurance or through enterprise agreements, what have you. So Microsoft have said that they're going to be bringing towards an end of life for training vouchers, planning services days, and problem resolution support. Now, this phasing out of these 3 benefits will start in February 2020 and implemented. It won't be actually completed, it won't be fully removed until January 2022. Not everything is going in one quick fell swoop. We have been advised that actually from February 2020, training vouchers for Azure, planning services days into Azure will be leaving from February 2020. All the other ones will still be available, and that means completing the training courses by February 2020. So there's quite a lot of urgency there. But this really shows that what Microsoft are looking to do is actually, with a slightly cynical mind, is that they're devaluing the software assurance, they're devaluing the licensing on premise to push you towards that cloud subscription. When we speak to Microsoft, say, well, why are you taking away the planning services days? Well, actually, the future is around the funding, the fast track funding that we're going to provide around that. The offsite training is being replaced by online training. Microsoft are trying to sell their own direct support model, or actually say, well, actually, if these services are really important to you, if this support around your licensing is really important to you, then in future you should be considering the CSP agreement. So therefore, rather than Microsoft having to do the partner does. So, of course, what are we doing to support our customers? So, will Microsoft take away the training vouchers? So, we've built a new training platform. Microsoft take away planning services days. So, we tried to step up some of our free pre-sales support. So, look, we're doing a lot around CSP, and it's only going to kind of grow. I mentioned the optimization services, but you've effectively got a self-service portal where you're going to have 2-hour SLAs in order of your licenses, have all of that billing and subscription support. You can just ask, you can have your own portal, you can kind of ask us or any. This is all kind of should be really pretty generic to most CSP partners, to be fair. We'll do all that onboarding piece, as well as obviously setting up your systems and helping to manage and maintain that. A couple of the key areas where we're looking to also move is to do things like optimization. So when it comes to Office 365, again, this is probably the level between once you're kind of getting up to that enterprise level. If the pricing is right for you, then we can start looking at things like, well, actually, let's see what services are actively being used within Office 365. If someone has been allocated an E3 license, are they actually using all the services within there? Have they been allocated a project, a Visio license? Yes, they're using it. No, they haven't used it for 30 days. So certainly within CSP, not use it for 30 days, great. Let's take it away for the following month, save on that money. And if they need to come, if they suddenly turn around and say, well, we do need it, that's fine. 2-hour SLA, pretty much immediately, they can get that license back. Obviously, there's going to be a break-even point between doing that on a month-by-month basis, management-wise, and actually getting those good economies of scale and saving money. So that's why we set up things like quarterly reviews. We do this optimization at a higher level. I'm not going to say every organization's get this. This is when it's really starts rolling out across your organization across a big level, across a kind of enterprise level. And much the same way we would look at Azure. Here we would look at the usage summary of what the consumption has been in the individual months, show you what that usage has been, and then also start suggesting, well, actually, you've been using this particular size of machine or consumed units, and potentially why don't you downgrade or do a reserved instance. Much the same with Office 365. Look, you could save £100 this month by downgrading these users. Much the same with Azure, we can say, well, actually, you can use some of your hybrid use benefit. You can look at some reserved instances. Have you thought about running this on a smaller machine? So we can kind of do some of that optimization around both Office 365 and Azure. Similar services which you kind of get through your enterprise agreement or as you start commit towards the Microsoft cloud. And yes, this is just our training platform, which is probably similar to a lot of other ones that are available in the marketplace, of course, but effectively breaking down each individual product, Office, Teams, Office 2013, Office 2016, Office 2019, bite-sized chunks. How do I load a video into a Word document? How do I start a new webinar? How do I turn off my PC? Everything and everything in between. Not the technical Microsoft accreditations that the training vouchers were, okay? This is end user training, but we are working on classroom options as well if you do need that education piece, if your users do need that education piece. And effectively, just to really reiterate, with the CSP offering, I've put Ultimate CSP offering, but with any kind of decent partner CSP offering, you're going to have that 24/7 break fix support, you know, across Office 365 and Azure, all of that billing, usage reports, 2-hour SLA with unlimited licensing support, full onboarding, and being able to own that whole process. Or similarly, as 90% do, effectively still use us as a partner to say, I need this license, or is this person using this, or what's a good way to do this, or should I buy E5 or just look at the individual components, all of that piece, all of that wraparound license advisory service. I'm not saying CSP isn't going to be right for every organization because of the price point at the moment. Things like EA, things like Open Value, probably still a slightly better price point initially, or if you're already in one of those agreements, but certainly from January Microsoft are effectively going to start looking to say in January, level A enterprise agreement customers coming to renewal are going to get effectively little to no discount for their renewals from January 2020, which is a major statement. So it's really it's said with some trepidation, and obviously we were looking at interest about Microsoft statements, but we think they were telling us they're going to make this statement to really push CSP in January. Microsoft will roll back from this, as they always do, and negotiations start, but it's really crucial to understand, even if it doesn't quite happen in January 2020, it's certainly coming, and CSP is only going to grow. I did just want to kind of quickly cover off some of the other updates in regards to Skype for Business and Teams, because you can no longer kind of buy Skype for Business. It's not available to new customers. It's effectively you're buying Teams, but you can't buy Teams as an individual component. You're kind of now buying Teams as part of the Office 365 suite. So don't get me wrong, you can still get Skype for Business on premise. There are still server, like you can buy a server license, buy a client license, buy a cow. Some of those are absolutely still available. They released the latest server last November for on-premise, but certainly online now it's for new customers kind of moving to Teams. The only elements of Teams or Skype you can buy as individual components now is effectively that audio conferencing and phone system piece. So you don't necessarily have to buy the full E5. If E3 costs you £20 and per user per month, E5 costs £30 per user per month. But in actual fact, if you're only doing E5 to get telephony, then actually it's cheaper to buy audio conferencing for 4 and phone system for 2, because £6 cheap. So there's always going to be an analysis between, should I buy the suite, should I buy the component? That's the full advisory service. What I'm saying is, with Skype for Business / Teams, you can no longer actually buy just plan 1 or plan 2 for them. You have to kind of buy into the full suite. Again, Microsoft just pushing the full suites, seeing people buying individual components. They're going to close that path. So saying, right, well, actually, you need to now buy the full suites. To be fair, what they've then done is they've actually put more functionality. So, for example, you used to have to get Skype for Business Plan 2, you used to have to buy E3, but that's not the case anymore. So Skype for Business Plan 2 or Teams Plan 2, or basically the full functionality of Skype, peer-to-peer calling, desktop sharing, instant messaging presence, that is now basically all included within the E1 license. Even the F1 license now includes almost the full plan 1, which is in the equivalence of basically all the internal stuff. So then the only external stuff is the telephony, which is just the audio conferencing and phone system suites. That's all online. Don't forget, you can still just buy the Plus Cal on premise if you were still looking to do an on-premise solution. So like I said, it was a introduction, I suppose, to some of the questions you need to be asking as a business, as a commercial organization looking to compare CSP against EA. It is really becoming more and more relevant, and will continue to be so. You will have access to these slides. All I can say is that, look, if you've got a renewal coming up in the next 12 months, when you're starting to consider those options, when we're doing the cost modeling, CSP is absolutely an option there. To be fair, normally due to the price point, let's be honest, price point, it's sometimes not the way that it goes. But I think really over the next 12 months, certainly from July 2020, you'll see more and more. But thank you very much for your time. I see we haven't got too many questions, but if you do have any, please let me know. Otherwise, there's my contact details. Let me know if you need anything else. Thank you.